Bonsoir et bienvenue à l'Assemblée virtuelle de la Fondation de l'Hôpital de Montréal pour enfants pour un coup d'œil privilégié sur l'ingéniosité de nos médecins et la volonté de vivre du nouveau-né très spécial. I am Renée Vézina, President of the Montreal Children's Hospital Foundation, your co-host this evening. Joining me once again is Terry DiMonte, Montrealer extraordinaire and morning show host on CHOM FM. Terry is graciously donating his time and talents to us this evening. Ce soir, vous allez entendre l'histoire étonnante de la petite Agathe. Dès qu'elle est venue au monde, dès son premier souffle, sa vie était en danger. Son avenir s'annonçait très sombre, mais grâce à la volonté de vivre de ce minuscule petit bébé et au travail innovant des équipes de soins intensifs et de chirurgie du Children, elle s'en est sortie. Je tiens d'abord à remercier nos chers invités, Annick et Mathieu, les parents d'Agathe, Dr. Sam Daniel, Director of Otolaryngology, et Dr. Pierre-Luc Bernier, cardiovasculaire and thoracic surgeon. Time permitting, we will take questions from participants. If you would like to ask a question, please use the question icon located at the upper right corner of your screen. We will try to answer as many as possible. Terry, over to you.
Thanks very much, Renee. First of all, thanks for having me back. I'm thrilled to be, I guess you want to call the moderator. I'm a moderator and observer of this incredible story we're going to tell tonight, and I'm absolutely thrilled to be here. And we'll start, I think, right with the beginning of the story. You can see there is Mathieu and Annick, and a very, very busy Agathe, who's nice to see that energy, Mathieu and Annick. Thank you very, very much for choosing to tell your story and sharing your story with everybody. So grateful to you that you're going to tell us about what was obviously a very, very difficult year for you guys. So let's start at the very beginning. And I'd like to go back to even before Agathe was born. Can you talk about the pregnancy and how that went? And was there anything that indicated there was going to be something wrong before Agathe arrived?
Agathe was a stressful baby day one. At the beginning of the pregnancy, I had placenta abruptions, so I had to stop working for a few days, a few weeks. But after a month, everything was fine, and I went back to work. At the 20 weeks ultrasound, they found that there was only one artery in the umbilical cord instead of two. So they asked for a cardiac ultrasound to rule out any other ultrasound. I didn't even get the appointment because my water broke 24 weeks. So after that, I was at the Royal on complete bed rest, trying to keep her inside a little bit longer. And at 26 weeks, there was a problem with the umbilical cord, so I had an emergency. So that was not an easy pregnancy, but we like to think that she was born too soon for me. We are pretty sure that if she was treated anywhere else than the children, she probably won't be alive today without the complexity of problems she had.
Go ahead, Renee. I wanted to just quickly mention that for people watching the webinar, there's a slight delay between the questions that we ask Mathieu and Annick. So don't worry about the delay. And Mathieu and Annick, I'm having a little bit of difficulty hearing your full answer. If there's any way you could get just a little closer to your computer, that would be great. Renee, go ahead.
I don't think I can hear you.
Yeah, Renee, we can't hear you.
Okay. Somebody has unmuted me. Perfect. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Alors, Mathieu et Annick, votre fille Agathe est née après seulement 26 semaines de grossesse. Annick, tu as dû subir une césarienne d'urgence. À sa naissance, Agathe pesait 770 grammes, soit environ 1,5 livre. Qu'est-ce que les médecins vous ont dit sur la santé d'Agathe et sur ses chances de survie?
Ben ça, c'est assez compliqué pour vrai parce que à la base, il n'y a personne qui savait qu'est-ce qui se passait avec la Agathe, là. On savait, en fait, les néonatologistes qui nous ont rencontrés, puis ils nous ont vraiment expliqué qu'il y avait de la difficulté à la ventiler. Donc, il y avait beaucoup de difficultés à bien la ventiler. Et en essayant de placer les tubes endotrachéales dans la gorge, ils voyaient qu'il y avait que ça passait mal et qu'il y avait de la misère à lui donner la réserve qu'elle avait besoin. C'est pas mal la seule chose qu'il savait au point de vue de la respiration. Cependant, il avait été capable de faire un échographie. Il avait vu qu'elle avait une hémorragie cérébrale, donc intraventriculaire assez sévère. Là. Ils ont dit que c'était un grade 3 sur 4. Et de ce qu'on a compris de ça, c'est que c'était quand même sévère et que ça pouvait laisser place à des séquelles dans le futur. Et ils nous ont vraiment dit, écoutez, le week-end, parce qu'elle est née un mercredi, ils nous ont dit, on craint beaucoup pour la vie d'Agathe, on croit qu'elle va décéder dans les jours à venir. Et avec les soins qu'ils avaient faits, ils l'ont amené dans le fond, ils disaient vraiment, là, présentement, on est aux limites de ce qu'on peut faire avec les Agathes, on est aux limites de la santé. Et il fallait s'activer.
Matthew, these pictures are very, very difficult to look at, I'm sure, for you. I know they are for me just hearing the story, and I can't imagine what it would be like to be told that your child would not survive. Were you able to hold her at this point?
We were not allowed to hold her at the beginning because the tube in her trachea that was waiting for her was not in the right position because of the shape of her trachea. At some point, she was even so sick that we were not allowed to touch her because her head had to be in a very specific position. I held her for the first time after 1 month. The plan was to remove the tube and try her on CPAP. So the team was ready to put the CPAP on if there was something happening with the tube. So I held her for the first time.
The picture that we saw now is the first time that Annick held Agathe. So it was a very precious moment for her because it was very hard to us to just look at her without the possibility to touch her.
And how long was it, Matthew, before you knew? Because my understanding is the first couple of days were touch and go. You weren't sure she was going to survive. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. We were told that she was very, very sick. On avait vraiment pas de détails, en fait. Puis, c'était ce qu'on craignait. On nous a parlé d'aller investiguer parce qu'une fois qu'elle a passé le premier week-end, en fait, parce qu'elle a survécu le premier week-end, malgré les pronostics. Et ils nous ont dit, dans le fond, qu'une fois le week-end passé, qu'elle allait pouvoir peut-être investiguer. Ils sont allés faire un scan avec Agathe et ils se sont rendus compte qu'elle avait 2 sténoses de la trachée. Donc, our trachea was very small at the top and at the bottom of it. So, they decided, they told us that she would need surgery, but that she had to wait until to get to 2.5 kilos. So, I recall having a talk with Dr. Daniel at this point, telling us that there was hope, il y avait de l'espoir, mais qu'il fallait vraiment attendre, qu'il y avait une possibilité de chirurgie. Pour un enfant si malade, il nous parlait vraiment d'une chirurgie assez complexe. Fait que se rendre à 2,5 kg, évidemment, on se dit parfait, OK, on attend qu'elle grossisse. Le docteur Daniel nous parlait de donner de la crème glacée en cachette. Malheureusement, elle ne se nourrissait vraiment pas beaucoup. Et donc, il fallait attendre. Ça a pris environ 2 mois pour la rendre à ce poids-là. Donc, ça a été difficile. Nous, on y allait une journée à la fois, là, vraiment. C'était one day at a time. C'est plate à dire, c'est probablement l'expression que je déteste le plus, un jour à la fois, mais en même temps, on n'avait pas le choix. Parce qu'une journée, ça allait bien, puis après ça, ça n'allait pas bien du tout, ça allait bien, ça n'allait pas bien.
And can you tell us what the doctors found? Can you tell us how they found out what was wrong?
Yes, so they discovered exactly, don't recall the name, but I think it was a pulmonary artery sling, if I am right, Dr. Bernier. And so our artery was, did a sling between the trachea and the esophagus. Wow. So that was causing the trachea to be small. So they told us that she would need a big surgery due to that. And on top of that, you had the fact that she had bleeding in the brain. And on top of that, again, she was an extremely premature baby. So all the odds was against her. So it was pretty hard on us to just keep getting bad diagnostic day after day.
What? How did you get through that? How did you cope with that? I guess that's something. It sounds to me like you have to almost cope hour to hour, even more than day to day.
We can explain how, because it's too big. When you're in there, it's one step at a time. Yeah.
You touch on a high of adrenaline if you want. It's I can, like, sometimes I'm driving myself to the school where I work, and I'm just like, okay, what happened 1 year ago? I can't believe that we've been through all this, because it was such a roller coaster of emotion, and like we were hesitating between the decision of do we keep her alive? She's suffering, so it was very hard, but we let Agathe decide. We were telling her every day, like, look, Agathe, we are here for you. If you want to live, fight. You deserve a chance. Go ahead with that. We will be there for you, however the condition you will be in the future.
Renée, I know you have a question.
Yes. So, Dr. Daniel, question for you. Alors, c'est là, à ce moment-là, vous êtes entré dans la vie d'Agathe quand sa trachée s'est bloquée et qu'elle a failli mourir. Vous avez été appelé à ses côtés. À cette époque, elle était extrêmement petite et fragile. Puis quand vous avez fait votre premier examen et regardé les résultats de la tomodensitométrie, ce qu'on appelle familièrement les scans, qu'est-ce qui s'est passé dans votre esprit? Est-ce que la situation vous semblait désespérée? Comment expliquez-vous un diagnostic comme celui-là à des parents?
Oui, c'est une situation très difficile. Puis il n'y a pas de bon mot pour l'expliquer à personne. Je pense que j'ai été privilégié d'avoir des parents extraordinaires qui étaient là pour Agathe. Et je devais être là pour les parents et pour Agathe, pour penser à un plan pour nous sortir de cette situation. Parce que c'est une situation qui est intenable. Il faut penser en dehors du cadre. Agathe est très petite. Et il n'y avait pas la possibilité de faire une reconstruction à son âge. Et ce qu'il fallait espérer, c'est qu'elle grandisse assez pour pouvoir avoir l'intervention que Dr. Bernier va vous expliquer. Sauf que le problème, c'est en attendant, imaginez qu'elle respire à travers une petite paille. Son air vient d'une petite paille. Et que cette paille peut bloquer à n'importe quel moment. Donc, on avait une épée de Damoclès par-dessus notre tête où si cette petite lumière d'espoir, elle bloque, nous sommes dans une situation qui était désespérée. Et là, il fallait vraiment se fier sur les excellents soins de nos services néonataux. On était choyés d'avoir une équipe de soins intensifs néonatales qui est extraordinaire. Il y a entre autres Dr Elou qui était très impliqué et beaucoup d'autres médecins parce que c'est une situation très fragile où le tube peut vraiment sortir à n'importe quel moment. Quand elle s'extube, elle ne peut pas respirer, il faut remettre le tube. Et comme la trachée est très, très étroite, donc le tube qui lui permet de respirer, on ne pouvait pas aller loin dans la trachée pour pouvoir bien ventiler les poumons. Et la moindre obstruction, que ce soit de l'enflure, de la muqueuse, on risquait d'avoir un arrêt et une grosse problématique. Et donc, il fallait rester fort. Il fallait rester fort pour la famille et pour Agathe, pour eux. Et on était, ce qui nous gardait en forme, c'est l'espoir. C'est l'espoir de dire, oui, elle va passer à travers. Oui, j'ai le courage de parents extraordinaires qui veulent tout pour Agathe. Et je sais qu'on va y arriver parce que c'est ça qu'ils veulent, puis c'est ça qu'Agathe veut. Et c'est un acte de foi, de croire qu'on va y arriver ensemble. Donc, ça résume un peu une situation extrêmement fragile, extrêmement délicate. Il faut dire dans d'autres circonstances, il est clair que Agathe ne serait pas là. Elle n'aurait pas pu être là, mais elle veut être là. Puis elle était chanceuse d'avoir et une famille qui voulait la soutenir et une équipe, parce que c'est un travail d'équipe. Prendre la surveillance 24 heures sur 24. C'est pas humain d'avoir quelqu'un 24 heures sur 24 là-dessus. Ça prend des retours en salle d'opération qu'on va expliquer tantôt. D'ailleurs, on a le privilège ce soir de vous montrer, je me trouve en salle d'opération. Ça, c'est le théâtre 1 du nouveau hôpital de Montréal pour enfants. Donc, c'est mon cadeau à la famille. Ça donne que je suis là. C'est pas un choix. Mais c'est pour ça que j'ai le beau chapeau. Malheureusement, je dois le garder. Question de stérilité, même si j'ai l'air d'un cuisinier ce soir. Je vous promets, je ne fais pas des muffins. Je suis en salle d'opération. Et c'est la salle d'opération où on a amené Agathe maintes fois. Donc, si Agathe regarde ici, elle va reconnaître, elle va dire, oui, je sais, ça, c'est la machine qui m'a endormi derrière moi. Il y a plein de moniteurs que je peux vous montrer autour des équipements. Et c'est grâce à la Fondation de l'hôpital, à la générosité de nos donateurs et à l'esprit visionnaire, je dirais, de notre leadership médical qui nous a permis d'avoir vraiment la meilleure technologie pour pouvoir faire ce qu'on fait, parce que c'est pas des choses qui sont évidentes à maintenir. Bonjour, Agathe. Est-ce que tu reconnais la salle d'opération? Ou tu veux rien savoir?
That's an unbelievably remarkable story, Dr. Daniel. I was wondering, Mathieu and Nick, at that point, after the first surgery, you knew there was going to be many more surgeries to come. How did you decide to move forward with the extended battle that you had on your hands? Did you and Anik have a discussion about whether or not to continue or how you were going to get through it? Can you walk us through that at that point?
We just don't want to make that decision. Yeah, like we knew that all the experts were divided, like that many different opinions. It's a word, I don't know, but like they were helping us to live with that and to accept the choice that we would make, because one day there was hope, the other it was catastrophic. Like it was always a balance between hope and fear, and we just decided that we would not have to make that decision. And that's when we were told all the diagnostic. That's when we decided to sign the DNR paper, the Do Not Resuscitate paper. So that was like the decision of letting Agathe make his own battle, and if her heart stopped, that would be it for her. It's sad to say, but we didn't want to make the decision, so we were in between, if you understand.
À un moment donné, la trachée d'Agathe s'est à nouveau bloquée. Puis là, vous en discutez entre vous, si je comprends bien, puis vous décidez, OK, elle a assez souffert, là. Et à ce moment-là, l'équipe soignante d'Agathe vous dit, attendez, le docteur Daniel a été appelé par téléavertisseur, il s'en vient en toute vitesse. Il est en route vers l'hôpital, il a une idée. Là, vous le voyez arriver en courant, c'est un peu, écoutez, je m'excuse, mais c'est un peu comme, on voit ça à la télé, là, quasiment, là, ce genre de scénario. Il est tout essoufflé, puis là, qu'est-ce que c'est qu'il vous a dit?
Mais nous, on avait déjà décidé qu'on voulait, que c'était assez pour Agathe, en fait. Ça allait tellement mal, on était épuisés pour elle aussi. On a comme décidé d'un peu baisser les bras, puis...
À ce moment-là, en fait, si je peux me permettre, c'est ça, on avait décidé, on s'en allait dans une salle, je me souviens, avec un néonatologiste qu'on appréciait beaucoup, à qui on avait énormément de confiance, puis on réalisait, c'est Dr. Tempo, je m'en souviens, qui nous disait, tu sais, là, ça commence à être compliqué. Puis, du moment qu'on a su que Dr. Daniel s'en venait, on s'est comme même pas regardé, on s'est même pas consulté, puis on a dit, on lui donne la chance, puis il est vraiment venu en nous expliquant qu'il allait aller observer, qu'il avait une petite idée, et qui nous avait promis qu'il n'allait pas s'acharner sur Agathe.
C'était un peu irréel. Il est comme arrivé en courant. Je pense qu'il était en habit de neige. C'était un dimanche après-midi. Il n'était même pas de garde. En fait, je pense que ça nous a comme donné le petit espoir qui nous manquait, la petite tape dans le dos pour dire, OK, là, Agathe, ça peut se battre encore un petit peu. Parce qu'on s'est dit, lui, il est ici, c'est qu'il croit encore, puis qu'il y a une possibilité, aussi minime soit-elle, que ça fonctionne.
Parce que c'est souvent arrivé qu'on voyait des médecins arriver à la course dans la chambre à Agathe. Là, on était tannés de voir ça. Là. Les fameux codes là, dans les hôpitaux, là, on dirait que les ceux qu'on attendait, c'était tout le temps pour Agathe. Là. Fait qu'on était un peu découragés aussi là, à ce moment-là. Puis on dirait que c'est à ce moment-là qu'on voyait qu'il y avait de l'espoir puis qu'il y avait des idées derrière. Là, puis avec une équipe vraiment formidable. Là. Fait que non, ça a été un gros moment. C'est comme un peu comme le moment où on comprenait ce qui se passait, mais en même temps, c'est le moment où on a su qu'il y avait des choses à faire. Tu sais. On savait que ça prenait du temps, du travail, du courage, mais c'est comme un moment tournant, là, je trouve, là, dans l'histoire d'Agathe.
Dr. Daniel, can I ask you at this point, I mean, obviously, this isn't a problem that you find in a book. This isn't a problem that this isn't a problem that you tackle, you know, on a regular basis. And my understanding is you spoke to colleagues, you had an idea to rush in and come up with an idea of how to save Agathe. My understanding is you spoke to colleagues across the country, if I'm not mistaken. And is it true that not everybody was optimistic that you were on the right path?
Yeah, and in fact, I remember this day like yesterday. I was with my family, and I got a call, and I knew there was something really bad going on, and I had to be there for you know, Annick and Mathieu and Agathe, and see at least take a look and see what's going on and what we can do. And unfortunately, what happened is the little airway she had was now fully blocked with granulation tissue, and to the point where we couldn't even pass a tube through it. So what traditional solutions we had would have been to do something called a tracheostomy, an opening in the neck. But we can't do that because it's narrow down here, and then she's too small to go on have the curative surgery that Dr. Bernier will describe. So I reached out actually internationally. I reached 2 major airway centers because I said someone must have had a solution somewhere, and I wasn't given much hope. I was wished good luck, and there were some ideas debated, but the solution that was actually that unveiled itself because I would say it unveiled itself in this room, in the room where I am right now. And the alternative was to let Agathe go. I mean, these were the choices, or do something to secure her airway. And what the something that I did was to put a small balloon, that's a tiny balloon, in the part that is very narrow, because we saw that the tube wouldn't go through, even the smallest tube. Even a little camera to show us the pathway wouldn't go through. And I have to thank also, you know, again, when I talk about teamwork, I had an incredible anesthesia team who was there by my side, who was supporting Agathe with oxygen and trying to do what they can do to keep her alive. And then my respirology partners, Adam Shapiro, he's hiding, but he can click his video on. Adam, you can do it. Don't hide. And the number of people. I mean, if you see, this room was full, but I only saw one person in the room, and it was Agathe. I was ignoring everyone else, and I had to be there for her because I knew she wanted to live, and I knew her family wanted her to live, and I knew that I had a chance, if I'm able to bypass the narrowest area enough to feed a tube beyond it in the windpipe, because one part of the windpipe was much narrower than lower down. So I figured if I'm able to break that narrowing, literally fracture it to pass a tube through it to get beyond it, then we have a chance to, you know, save her airway, save Agathe, and allow her to grow till she can have the surgery that Batabania will describe. So what I did is put a tiny balloon in that narrowest area, and these are special balloons. And I thank the foundation, because they're not the balloons you buy at the at Walmart or at the at the Toys and Us. They're a tiny balloon that we have here thanks to the foundation, because the foundation allowed, you know, believed that at our hospital we have to have an airway program that is solid and has to have the tools, and these are tools we didn't have before. And this balloon is so strong that you could run a car on the balloon and the balloon wouldn't burst. It's very, very strong, and what it does is it dilates things. So what I did is I fractured the area that was very tight and dilated it enough to pass a tube through it so that we could ventilate her. And immediately there was a relief. Her oxygen went up. Everyone, not just Agathe, but everyone could breathe in that room, because I think if I were to take the oxygen of folks around me, they all looked blue and white, and some of them didn't look well at all. And in fact, you know, Annick and Mathieu, you remember one of the anesthetists that came to see you in NICU, and she was like, "Oh, you're here. She's okay." She's like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Yeah," and you're like, "Yeah, we're here." She's so that really something that has never been described in this situation, and that I've shared after with my international colleagues. They didn't believe me at first, but they're celebrating with us today in a sense that it was risky. Was it, you know, was it rosy? Was it the thing to do? I believe it was the thing to do to save Agathe in that circumstance. And when we fracture the rings, then what happens is you have air going around your lungs. So she had something called pneumothorax, and we had to put chest tubes, and then the NICU team was terrific at managing that. And then it became a game of really watching her like a hawk and not letting her go. So we're blessed again, I have a very solid team that is around me of colleagues. We had 24 hours a day, 7 days a week coverage all the time. And if there was any issue, you know, anytime that you knew, I would know about it. And it's not just one specialty. So we're airway surgeons, ENT, or otolaryngology, head and neck surgeons. There's also the cardiothoracic surgery department. Dr. Bernier spent many nights with me. Also in ICU, would come at night and do roundings on the weekend, and we would have, you know, many conversations. And then our respirology colleagues that have been terrific, and then our nursing colleagues. I mean, without the nurses who are there to provide all the care, and neonatal ICU and anesthesia, and I can, you know, name, I'm not aware of a single person at the Montreal Children's, single health professional that doesn't know Agathe, and now the foundation knows Agathe. So, and our donors know Agathe. So she's a star, yeah.
Dr. Daniel, I just, every time, you know, I've been talking to the doctors at the Montreal Children's Hospital for a number of years now, and every time we have a conversation, what I want to do is this, because the work, you know, the pictures of Agathe, she's so tiny, there's no room to work with, you know, and all of us have had pressure in some way, shape, or form of, you know, the most pressure I've ever felt is having to go on stage in front of a live audience. You were doing, forgive me for the sports analogy, but a bit of a Hail Mary, as they would say in football. It was an educated gamble, but it sounds to me like a gamble. How do you handle that pressure, you know, after you prep for the operation and you're about to give it your best shot, as they say? How do you prepare for that? What goes through your mind before you begin an operation of that nature? It's astonishing to me.
Yeah, it's definitely very stressful. And I think that what really grounds you are your values, is to remember at the end of the day, why am I here, right? And I'm here for Agathe, I'm here for her family. Mathieu and Annick are entrusting me with their daughter. They're putting her life in my hands. And at the end of the day, I'm here for her. And in fact, I still recall their wet eyes as they're saying their goodbyes and she's leaving for the surgery, and my brain cells firing like crazy and saying, well, you know, this might be the last time they're seeing their daughter alive. But I, you know, you feel the weight on your shoulders. It's not easy, and you know, you look at the forest, not just the tree. You know, you're there, but there's everyone around you, and you feel their emotions. You feel what's going on. It's very heavy. But when you're focused on your values, why you're here, even like why did you end up in this job, and what you want to do, then it helps you, you know, funnel your energy at your goal, and ignore the noise, and say, this is noise. That's the focus, and that's where we want to go. And again, I can't emphasize how much, you know, it's teamwork. And I mentioned the wonderful professionals we're blessed to have. It's also teamwork with the family, because, you know, I'm not sure that if I didn't have Annick and Mathieu, you know, we would be where we are today. You know, and I can't say it out loud, that I've told them, I said, you're my heroes, because it's for them that I did this, and someone else might have decided something different, right? I'm not here for to judge or to impose, you know, one pathway or another. I knew we had you know, the team, because you need to count on a team. I knew we had the skills. I knew we had the innovation spirit, and I knew that we had the tools to get there, and I knew that Agathe wanted to be here where she is today.
Can I ask you if your colleagues that you initially spoke to, I would imagine you gave them the good news about your approach and what worked, were they surprised?
They were happy. They were really happy. They had a big smile, and they said, "This is terrific." They said, "You have to publish it." I haven't had a time or a chance to publish this, so this is the publication now.
Fantastic. Renée, I know you have a question for Dr. Bernier.
Yes, yes. Alors là, même si Agathe nous a montré une très forte volonté de vivre, elle n'est pas pour autant tirée d'affaire. Elle a besoin d'une opération majeure pour réparer son cœur et Dr. Daniel, vous devez encore travailler sur sa trachée. Donc, elle subit une double opération qui a duré 12 heures. Ça devient ainsi le plus petit bébé au Canada à survivre à ce type d'intervention. Alors ça, pour moi, ça démontre bien le niveau de compétence incroyable de l'équipe de chirurgie pédiatrique et du personnel soignant au Children. Docteur Bernier, pouvez-vous nous parler de cette opération compliquée qui est une première au pays?
Of course. So first I have to say that I met Agathe and her parents, early on after the diagnosis was made, when Agathe, was only at a weight of less than 1 kilo and was a very small premature baby. And I explained to them what surgery she would require, to hope to fix, the trachea issue that she had, the severe stenosis and the pulmonary artery sling. And it was very hard to tell them, in fact, that, because she was so small, there was nothing I could do at this point. There was nothing I could do to fix it until, she would at least reach, we had put a target of 2.5 kilograms. And it was a really hard thing for me to tell them that, until we reach that goal, she's not on her own, but she's, under the great care of the neonatal intensive care unit. But we have to cross our fingers. We have to hope that she'll make it to that weight. And I have to say that I was ultimately extremely surprised and happy when I remember vividly when Dr. Haleu from the neonatal intensive care unit called me many months later and said, "Agathe needs your service now because she's almost 2.5 kilos, and when are we doing the surgery?" And I was shocked in some ways, but clearly, Agathe's resilience and the great care of the neonatal intensive care unit made it possible. So at that point, while we still knew that she was very small, she was still very small because obviously 2.5 kilo is not a big baby, but we knew that, if we did that, she probably would be the small, as you said, the smallest one in Canada to undergo the surgery. But we, Dr. Daniel and I, we had done this surgery for the bigger babies, and we were confident that our team was strong enough to make this happen successfully for Agathe. So we decided to embark on this project, really. So the surgery, without going into the details, it's an intrathoracic surgery, so we have to cut the segment of the trachea, which is the pipe, connecting the airway to the lungs, and remove the segment that's really, really small and blocked. At the same time, reconstruct the pulmonary artery, which is one of the main vessels that comes out of the heart. All of this is done on the heart-lung machine, and the surgery was a success. Despite the long duration of the surgery and all that was involved with it, with the great care of our cardiac intensive care unit team and the anesthesiology team. The surgery I was very happy with. I was, confident that it would work, but, Agathe was clearly not out of the woods yet. She had to be very, very closely monitored by the nurses and the physicians in the intensive care unit to make sure that the airway, as Dr. Daniel had managed before, would not block again, and that the healing would be everything would heal well and things would progress. So, you know, under the care of Dr. Daniel and Dr. Shapiro from the respiratory team, we made sure that, you know, the progress was sometimes slow but steady, and that ultimately, you know, thankfully she made it home, and obviously the great care of the complex care team made, you know, crystallized all this success and made it possible for Agathe to go home to her parents. She had a few trips back to the hospital after that. But I'm very happy to see, you know, today I see her again for the first time in a few months, and she's a changed baby. She's very, very different than when I saw her, certainly at birth, but also when I saw her for her first surgery.
And this was 18 surgeries. I just want to make sure I got this right. 18 surgeries in less than 12 months. Have I got that right?
You have, in a sense, that there's surgery and surgery. So there are some major. I mean, the biggest surgery is the one that Dr. Bernier described on cardiac bypass, and you know, the longest of all. And I have, you know, Dr. Bernier is very modest, but I feel very blessed to have him as a colleague for tracheal reconstruction, because I have to say that it's an expertise that is lacking in many cardiovascular thoracic places. And you need a team, and you need you know, colleagues you trust and you can work with, because it's extremely difficult surgery. And there is the surgery, which is the reconstruction, but then Agathe has to heal. And there's the healing part. And as part of the healing, you know, just like when you cut yourself, sometimes the scar looks really smooth and nice, and other times it's very bumpy. When it's on your skin, it's external. You know, it doesn't lead to functional problems. When it's in your windpipe, and your windpipe is, you know, 2 to 3 millimeters, you add a 1 millimeter bump, that's you know, a major limitation. And I had, you know, many times talked to Annick and Mathieu. I said, this is a journey. You know, we're in this for a journey, and it's very difficult. And I admire, you know, how you know, their resilience and how strong they are, because as I said, a journey, because you have to go back to the operating room, and then you look and you see how has it healed. And there are times where there may be a little stitch that you need to remove. There's times where you could get what we call granuloma or swelling, and the balloon I talked to you about, it has visited Agathe's airway many times to stretch, dilate, and really make adjustments. And every time you do an intervention, well, it's not just intervention, it's what happens after, you know, where for Agathe, she needs to go to intensive care unit and to be monitored. But I have to say that this is the longest time, right, Annick and Mathieu, we haven't been to the hospital, so we miss you. And that's okay. We prefer to see you on a webinar than at the hospital, and I think you prefer that. And I think what you know, allowed us to go on this journey is the joke we played on each other, where I kept telling them we got to have this ice cream for Agathe to feed her, and we were suggesting various brands with fat and creamy and yummy ice cream. So sorry, no more ice cream now. She looks well nourished.
Yes.
That's one of the things I wanted to bring Mathieu and Annick back in. When we started the webinar, Dr. Daniel, Agathe was up and down and over, and she looks like a fighter. And I wanted to know, look at her. How is she doing? It looks like she's doing quite well.
Huh? Qu'est-ce qu'ils font les dinos? That's our impression of the dinosaur that she just did. She's terrific. I mean, like, I don't think there's a way to tell that what she was through, like what she has been through, because like if you see her that way, if you don't see the many scars that she had or anything, you cannot say that that's a sick baby. It's just impressive to see how she's doing. She still needs like oxygen at night to help her like with the brain, her brain to get well for the future. But I mean, he's eating well. All the scary thing that we were not hoping to happen, like the feeding or all our development is going. Everything is going is going very good so far. So we're pretty happy about that. We are very happy about that. But like, we like to say that we like to enjoy every second that we have with her, because like, if I recall, a year ago, it was not a cheerful. Sorry, my English. I'm not that good, but I'm not that bad too. But so it was very tough. But now look at that. So we are happy and
Fantastic.
we're just enjoying that little baby, that little monster, and that she feels that way.
Docteur Daniel, quand vous pensez à tout ce qu'Agathe a traversé, à ce que ses parents ont vécu, à toutes les équipes qui se sont dévouées pour lui sauver la vie, quelles sont vos impressions? Qu'est-ce que vous ressentez?
Je suis privilégié et chanceux de faire partie de cette famille. So I consider myself really lucky and blessed to be part of the Montreal Children's Hospital family. Ça fait que à la fin de la journée, you know, in our days, pandemic has not been easy. We all have been hit really hard. And when at the end of the day, I look at, you know, the smile on Agathe's face, I look, you know, at her happy family, ça donne du sens à ce qu'on fait. And then it gets me to really appreciate the wonderful work that our foundation does and our donors, because they really allow us to, you know, perform miracles and heal, and we're healers. That's our call, is to heal, and we can't do that without the support. So, you know, one of the programs we're blessed, thanks to the foundation, in developing is the airway program, and you've seen the professionals around this table that work together as part of the MCH family to make it happen, to save lives and to allow children to breathe. I think the basic thing in life is to breathe. There's nothing, and I still, you know, recall a very sad story of a 14-year-old who traveled from very, very far, and he was choking on secretions. He had a neurological condition that was irreversible, unfortunately, and he's no longer here. He passed away. But he told me, he said, there's nothing I hate more than this feeling where I can't breathe. I feel like someone is putting me in the pool and shoving my head under the water. And he wanted help with managing his secretions. And so we're happy to celebrate with everyone tonight. And my big message is thank you. And the biggest thank you goes to this wonderful family. Merci du cœur à notre belle famille qui a été toujours notre partenaire. Puis c'est grâce à vous, vous donnez un sens à ce qu'on fait. Donc, merci du cœur.
I just want to quickly add, thanks to everybody who gets involved. You know, we see I drive by the hospital every day, and I gaze over at the building, and I think about all the wonderful work that's done inside that building and all of the stories that I've heard over the years. This one is one of the most remarkable stories I've ever heard. Dr. Daniel, Dr. Bernier, it's an honor just to hear you tell the story. And it's such a great example of why it's so important that the foundation exists, and that the donors keep up their good work. I'll be talking about this tomorrow on the radio. It's quite remarkable. Thank you for allowing me to be part of it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Valerie. So thank you for everyone. Valerie, are there any questions from our viewers?
Well, we have, first I'd like to say hello to Dr. Daniel hi from Dale and Nick and Daniel. You've seen them for almost 17 years and had many surgeries. So they wanted to say hi. And then we have another former patient who says that he underwent an ASO surgery in 1997 and that what he underwent can't even compare to what Agathe went through. So he wants to congratulate the doctors and of course Agathe on this wonderful story. And then we had a question, I believe it was when Dr. Bernier was talking about the surgery, and they asked, is it non-stop surgery for 12 hours with all the same physicians in the OR? So because she said it's so incredible. So those were the comments that we had, and of course lots of congratulations. And
pretty much, yeah. I mean, we don't take breaks. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but we don't do that every day, right? So, but it is what it is, you know. We have to do, you know, we come in, we have a goal, and we have to achieve it, essentially.
Thank you. So that concludes this. Whoops.
If I can add something, like I think we saw Dr. Bernier every day for like 3 or 4 weeks after the surgery. Even on the weekend, he was always coming by the PT to see how Agathe was doing. So I don't think he missed the shift. And he even told us one time that he was going on surgery in other hospital, and he even came on that day to see how Agathe was doing. So we appreciate that a lot. So thank you again.
After you took her home, I wanted to keep on following her, but you live a bit too far.
Well, yeah, that's why our Wi-Fi sometimes we are a little bit in delay. We're too far.
Si je peux me permettre, on a quelques minutes, on a une autre question qui demande, une personne qui demande si Agathe aura des séquelles.
On ne sait pas. C'est en fait.
Pour l'instant, son développement est à jour selon son âge corrigé. Donc, pour l'instant, elle va bien, elle mange bien, elle bouge bien, elle va marcher bientôt. Il y a toujours des risques sur son développement cognitif. On va sûrement avoir des belles surprises ou des mauvaises surprises, on ne sait pas. Mais rendu là, je pense qu'elle a déjà fait un bon bout de chemin. Fait qu'elle sera comme elle sera. Puis pour les séquelles, ben,
on va s'adapter. Mais on est confiant que ça se passe bien. Là.
Dr. Bernier, can I quickly ask you, I'm curious, when you or Dr. Daniel have a marathon surgery like that of 12 hours, is there anything you do special to prepare?
Good breakfast, not too much coffee, just enough. I think we all have our routine, right? And sometimes the nurses are nice enough to bring us a little bit of juice during the operation, but don't tell anyone, okay?
Operating room service.
Yeah. So thank you. This concludes this evening's webinar. Dr. Danielle, Dr. Bernier, thank you for sharing, some of your precious time and for helping the sickest children in Quebec have a chance to thrive. Mathieu et Annick, thank you for sharing your daughter's amazing story. We wish you and little Agathe all the best. And Terry, thank you for being again an amazing co-host.
Great pleasure.
Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Avant de terminer, nous aimerions partager avec vous la vidéo de notre campagne publicitaire Longue vie au Tannant, lancée en novembre, qui fait écho à notre campagne de financement pour stimuler l'innovation en soins de santé, en recherche et en enseignement aux children. Parce qu'un enfant en santé déborde d'énergie et est parfois un peu tannant, nous vous invitons à célébrer avec nous le petit côté espiègle des enfants du Québec. Alors, il y a une courte vidéo. Hi.
qu'il fasse chanter.
So on that note, on behalf of everyone at the foundation and at the hospital, thank you for helping us find unexpected ways to heal. À tous nos donateurs, merci d'aider le Children à penser autrement. Je vous souhaite une merveilleuse soirée et à la prochaine.
Merci.
Merci. Bonne soirée.
Au revoir.
Bye, Agathe.